What in the world is a nucleus colony of honeybees? When we come back, we'll not only explain a nucleus colony, we will demonstrate how to install one into your own backyard beehive. Hey, your backyard beekeeper here on a Mellifera Monday. Thanks for dropping by. If you're new to us, don't forget to slam that subscribe button down below for all the latest on honey, honeybees, backyard beekeeping, and anything honeybee related. It's all the buzz, don't you know? We are definitely on the bee side today. We've been asked to demonstrate how to install a nucleus colony of honeybees, but until our own nucleus colonies come in during the first week of May, we are doing a mock install. We collaborated with the Soaring Capital Beekeepers Association, Lenny Bolus, our club president, and Scott from our club explained the install perfectly. And this time around, I'm the cameraman. But first, let's define just what a nucleus colony of bees is. It's nuke for short. Any beekeeper know a nucleus colony is a nuke. It's a small colony of honeybees housed in a 3 to 5 frame cardboard or wooden hive. Now here's Lenny and Steve.
Okay, you're going to pick up your nuke box with your bees. You're going to take it home. I recommend just setting it right on top of the hive where it's going to go, with the opening of the nuke box facing in the same direction as the hive is. The most important thing is after you put it on top, make sure you open this up. I believe this year they're going to come with a cork in them or a little flap. You're going to want to take the cork out or open the flap up so that the bees can get in and out. You're going to want to let this set for a minimum of 24 hours, and then depending on the weather, you can install your nuke. To install the nuke, we're going to take it off the top of the hive. You're going to take your outer cover and inner cover off. So let's get our hive ready first. So what I've done is, there's 4 frames in this nuke box. I've left 3 on one side and 2 on the other. We're going to install this in the middle. Now I take the top of my nuke off. These nuke boxes were designed tight so that the frames don't bounce around. So what I like to do is, I look at that nuke and more of the bees are on this side over here. So what I like to do is take these frames, push them all the way over tight, then I'll bring a frame back so I've got a little bit of room and I'm not rolling bees. I'll pull that first frame out, and one of the things I want to look for as I'm installing them in the hive is I want to see if there's any eggs or larvae. And on the back side of this frame, there's some eggs and larvae. So I know there's a viable queen in there and she's doing her job. I'm going to take this frame, install it.
And as you install it in the hive, you make sure that it is all the way over to that side with the ears touching the ears of the frame next to it.
And as I keep pulling these out, you're going to take them out of your nuke box and put them in your hive body in the same order they come out of your nuke box. So I'm going to pull the next frame out. Oh, lo and behold, we found the queen.
So as you put that one in, you put it a little further away and very carefully slide it across as not to crush the queen. But you already know where the queen is, in between those two. So now you are much safer to put the other 2 frames in the hive.
Next frame, I'll move it away from the other one so there's a little bit of a gap so I'm not rolling bees again. I'll install that one in there, and as Scott had mentioned, he's going to slide it over so they're tight. I'll move the next frame over from the side wall so that I've got a little bit more room.
You notice this one is empty. They just haven't gotten to it. So you can put that one across.
Then we'll slide these next 2 frames over,
because they're empty, and take the last empty frame slide that across. And then with the hive tool we have, we just take and very carefully center all the frames in the hive together before we close it up.
Now we'll take our inner cover and an outer cover will go on top, and your bees are installed. The second method, which is the one that I prefer, and there's research to back it up, that actually works a little better, installing a nuke in a hive. We're going to go through the same process again, but this time we're going to start with one frame on either side of your box and 4 frames on the other. So you have 5 frames in your brood body. We're going to do the same thing again. Take your hive tool, push all the frames over to one side, bring one back. And this is one of the reasons I like doing this method, is because every now and then you're going to get a frame in your nuke that should be called out. And this was an actual frame that I got in a nuke a few years back. So this frame is going to get installed
in one of your hives
on the very outside. And the reason for that is, as the queen starts laying, she's going to move more to the center. Now, she may not lay in this frame anymore, so after a month's time, I can take and call this frame out and replace it. Where's an empty frame? And replace it with an empty frame. Now I've got rid of that old frame. So now I'm going to finish. Let me put this one in there. Now I'm going to finish installing the rest of the frames, and I'm going to push them over so I've got some space, so as I'm pulling that frame out, I'm not going to have to worry about rolling bees. And again, when you're pulling your frames out, look for eggs and larvae so that you know you have a viable queen. I'm going to install that in the hive body.
Slide it over, just like before.
Move your next frame over so you've got some space. Pull it out. Install it into the hive body. Bring your other frame out away from the side wall. Pull it out. Install it in your hive body. Then you can take the rest of the frames, gently slide them over. We need, no. And as Scott mentioned earlier, you want all the frames tight together and centered in the box, which will leave you approximately 3/8 of an inch gap on each side.
And if there's any bees left on the side walls or your nuke box at all, you can just leave it out at the front entrance, and they'll make their way in the box.
One thing to look for, after you've gotten all the frames in, there'll be some bees left in here. Just make sure that the queen's not still in the box.
Right.
Every now and then, you do find a queen that may be walking around on the side wall. If you do find your queen in there, take your nuke box, just put it on top and give it a little gentle wrap, and you'll knock the queen down into the hive body. Yep. The rest of the bees, you can just set your nuke box there, and they'll make their way into the hive. And then the other reason I like doing this is all the bees are on one side. They're going to build better towards the center of this hive. The other thing I do is I just take a simple piece of wood. Now I can block off that entrance so that I've got approximately 3 inches here. Since it's a small colony or a nuke, the bees don't have to defend as much of an area. Being there's so few bees, trying to defend that whole front entrance is tough for them. So this way, it's going to keep out robber bees, possibly wasps, and definitely wax moths. One thing I would say is if you're starting out with foundation and you put your frames in the center, the bees are going to try to work both ways. They'd like to build their own comb and work up better. So one thing that you may see happen is they're going to start building up through the hole in your inner cover. Just take that, when you get into the hive to do an inspection, just take your hive tool and scrape all that wax off. But again, make sure the queen's not on it. Now, installing your nuke, you did not see any eggs or larvae, and you did not see the queen. Make sure you get a hold of where you bought your nuke at.
And that's a look at a Nucleus colony and how it's installed. We will be back with a live bee install demo very soon. If you are interested in honey, honeybees, woodenware, or just have a question, please give me a shout out. Our email address is in the description down below. Like us, leave a comment, subscribe, and please share the latest buzz with the world. With another bee-rated video from Studio Honeybee, I'm your backyard beekeeper, and we're going to make a beeline for some honey, and we'll catch you on the bee side. Hey, what happened? Uh-oh.